And that's why I'm so glad I live in Florida. Let's review Day After Tomorrow. The Day After Tomorrow stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Emma Rossum, Dennis Quaid, and is directed by Roland Emmerich. What's up, guys? Welcome to a patron-requested review. This is for Bronson Wright Wolf. He's given me some really good ones to review over the last couple of months. If you are of a certain tier, then you can get a review in your honor of your choice. And Bronson, for this month, has chosen The Day After Tomorrow. And wouldn't you know it, today is January 1st of 2024. That means this movie came out 20 years ago this year. So I guess it's kind of appropriate. It's the 20th anniversary of The Day After Tomorrow.
What can we do?
Save as many as you can.
It was kind of a big event film when it came out. Roland Emmerich, he did Independence Day, 10,000 BC, which was horrible. But really his movies, they're popcorn movies. And more importantly, they're disaster movies. I like Roland Emmerich for just sticking to what he knows he's good at. I'm really good at disaster movies, so that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. As a matter of fact, he made another movie similar to this called 2012. I think 2012 is almost like, The Day After Tomorrow on steroids. And one thing I always liked about his movies too is there was like a countdown, especially to his earlier movies, like especially Independence Day, which was, I remember, one of the best marketing campaigns I have ever seen for a film ever. Probably Blair Witch Project is just as good as far as the marketing campaign goes. But the marketing was genius for Day After Tomorrow. People couldn't wait to go see this movie, and part of it was the countdown. So anyway, before we go any further, let's give you a quick plot synopsis on The Day After Tomorrow. Dennis Quaid plays Jack. His son's name in real life is Jack Quaid, who's kind of like lighting up Hollywood right now. But Dennis Quaid plays this character, Jack. He is a paleoclimatologist. Yes, I did look that up right before this review. No way in hell I would remember that. I would call him just a weather scientist, right? I guess that's the best way to put it. But if you know Mother Nature, it seems like every few years, every few decades, whatever, the nature shit really hits the fan, and the worst imaginable can happen. Just to give you a quick example, back in 1999, I lived in Oklahoma City, which was pretty much Tornado Alley, and we had, I kid you not, an F6 tornado. I know you're saying, wait, there's only an F5. This literally created a new category because the winds were 382 miles an hour, which is insane. It was the craziest freaking tornado I've ever seen in my entire life. And I remember my kids holding them in the hallway. We lived in an apartment building, and we put a mattress over the top of us. And it was just insane. So this stuff really happens, and we always love to flock to the theater, like say Twister, when these disaster movies happen. But in this situation with Roland Emmerich, if he's going to do a Mother Nature disaster movie, he wants to give it the absolute worst case scenario. Scientists in real life say this movie could never happen. But I mean, it's Hollywood, right? You have to inject some steroids into the idea. But what Jack figures out that's happening is every storm you can think of, your hurricanes, your tsunamis, your tornadoes, all of it's happening at once. It's just a moment in time. We haven't been taking care of the planet, and this is what can happen. And that's why, these environmentalists, they take this shit really seriously, because if we don't take care of our planet, then this stuff can happen. Just not to this level, according to scientists. And so this movie, it's just the build-up to that happening. And it's definitely on display. It starts off like 20 minutes into the movie, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Jake Gyllenhaal plays his son, Sam. They are separated. They always like to separate a family in these disaster movies. It happened in Independence Day. So that way we can kind of like follow each family member, and one of them's in the hurricane land, and one of them's freezing to death over here on this side of the country. And the father has to rescue the son. Eventually, later in the movie, that's what he has to do. But Jake Gyllenhaal, he plays Sam, and he's a student. I think he's in like a senior in high school, and he's with these students, and they're going to this competition. And then you got Emmy Rossum, which I forgot she was in this. She was in Shameless and been in a few other things. But she's the girl that Sam is smitten by. And so they try to throw this little superficial love story in there along the way. But this isn't that type of movie. We don't care about that stuff. We're not cheering to the moon when Sam and Laura, maybe they get together by the end of the movie. I didn't even remember if they got together because I'm here for Mother Nature destroying the planet. That's what we want to watch. You know, it's a popcorn movie. And let me say, don't go to this movie for the characters. They are completely paper thin. I don't want to say paper thin. You got some good actors in here. Dennis Quaid is always charismatic. Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't think this is his best role. I think he felt a little uncomfortable in this role, if I'm being honest. Just a few years earlier, he did Donnie Darko, and I think he was really comfortable with that role. Just playing kind of an awkward teen, little psychotic, that type of character. Here, I don't think he found the character that he was trying to play. I don't know, maybe I'm being too hard. I shouldn't even be like analyzing characters in a Roland Emmerich movie, but here we are. I didn't hate Jake Gyllenhaal at all in this movie, guys. Don't get me wrong. He's just fine for what he does. But he's caught in some situations that are downright hilarious. We'll get to that. But talking about the disasters, I guess pretty much the action of this movie. In terms of payoff, it definitely delivers. You have this gigantic tsunami wave, 250 feet high. You see it engulfing the Statue of Liberty, coming over into New York, putting Manhattan underwater. One thing about Roland Emmerich, people are going to die in his movies, all right? And I would say if you had to do like a count of how many people probably die in this movie, it's going to be in the hundreds of thousands. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is you see this helicopter flying over the ice caps. It lands, but it's so cold outside, it's like freaking 40 degrees below zero. And so when the pilot sticks his head out, his face immediately freezes over. Just to give you how dangerous this situation is. And boy, do you feel it. And I do like how this movie, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And with these disaster movies, you don't really see a fully happy ending at the end of the movie. They try to cap it with some sense of hope, you know, coming together. But man, the damage is done. Now you got like veteran actors in here too, like Ian Holm. I mean, there's like an ensemble of actors in this movie. And I'd say quite a few of them, they're sort of wasted. Like they don't really get to do much. Like Ian Holm, he's just kind of stuck in this room with these other guys and they're just kind of waiting the storm out. And Dennis Quaid, Jack, he's the guy that's warning everybody. You got the vice president here that looked very much like Shaney, and I think that was on purpose because at the time this was under the Bush administration. Let's just say the vice president in this movie, he's pretty much the mayor in Jaws. He's constantly a naysayer. Everything Jack says to him, he says, you're worried for nothing. That's not going to happen. But this is really stupid because as he's bitching at Jack, naysaying at Jack, the disaster's already happening. Everybody already knows. So from a script writing standpoint, preposterous. But, you know, you're wanting to give some kind of flavor to all the characters in this movie. Otherwise, what's the point? Now, that one funny scene I was talking about with Jake Gyllenhaal, oh my God, there's a scene in this movie, they're all stuck in this library, and he goes down to the payphone to call his dad. And as he's talking to his dad on the payphone, the water is rising. And I literally started gut laughing because the water's literally rising above his head and he won't get off the phone. He has to, I don't know what's so important that he can't say to his dad inside of 10 seconds.
Sam, come back!
Sam? Sam, did you hear me? Did you hear me?
He won't get off the phone and he's literally like drowning. And I fell off my couch laughing at that scene. I forgot how silly it was. All you got to do is like let go of the phone and walk away. Also, one thing I noticed about this movie, as far as like the pacing goes, it's the exact same as Independence Day. Beginning of the movie, you have this scientist who gets some kind of, you know, notification on his computer or something like that. I'm serious, like almost beat by beat, from getting the warning to trying to get the word out to having the naysayers like they had that in Independence Day to then all of a sudden the disaster starting to happen. They even have the White House in here getting slammed. So it's pretty much Independence Day, but take out the aliens and put in Mother Nature. Same type deal, but still really fun to watch. But they had a screening for this movie for scientists when it first came out. And the scientists came out and they just were laughing their asses off. They said it's entertaining, but this is preposterous. This would never happen. And one thing to note too, when this movie came out, it was the highest grossing movie opening weekend that didn't take number one. And I think it held that record for the longest time. I don't know, it might still have that record. I don't know, because it ended up making like 180 million domestically. So it was a hit back in the day for sure. So in the end though, I'm definitely gonna give this like a high humdrum. And I'd say I prefer Independence Day. I guess because that one was first and it had aliens. But still, it's always cool to watch a Mother Nature movie. And to the movie's credit, you know, doing some research, the audience that came out of this movie, they literally had like pamphlets in the theater about weather and how to properly prepare for, you know, any kind of disaster, because they were worried that people were actually going to worry about this stuff when they left the movie. So let me know your thoughts on The Day After Tomorrow in the comments. Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free for All Fridays. Follow me Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Buy me a coffee. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drumdum out.